This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update as well as my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer. And before I get into that, just want to show you a picture. I just had dinner with my parents, and my dad was trying on my brand new Blood Hunter mask that I'll be wearing in the Blood Hunter Thirst and Rage film going into production next week in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And for anyone that doesn't know, I am selling this red Blood Hunter mask. And I put the link to that in the description. It's only going to be on eBay for about another less than 48 hours. So I made my Texas debut in that match, fought in Forest of Fears in that mask, fought Rodney Mack in that mask. And as you can see by the cut on my hand, that is a real cut from punching my opponent where my bone actually went through my hand. So you could have the mask. It's on eBay, where I actually got the scar in there. I forget if it was like 40 or 60 stitches to sew that back up. But let me get into by the way, I will make one more announcement because Great North Wrestling is coming to Petawawa, Ontario, September the 3rd. And people have been asking, who's going to manage the Blood Hunter? Well, it's going to be none other than Natalya in my corner. Beautiful Natalya, who is a great natural heel. She's going to be making her wrestling debut September 3rd in Petawawa, Ontario. And she just celebrated her 21st birthday, and I think she could do very well in wrestling. She's definitely, and I might be biased, but in my opinion, she's better looking than anyone in wrestling right now. By far. She's a natural beauty. Now, let me get into the Wrestling Observer review. Paige, who many people might remember, is best remembered for having several sex tapes come out, one getting double teamed by Xavier Woods and another guy, another sex tape, having sex what appeared to be backstage. She also was with Alberto Del Rio. Very controversial character. She did break her neck, though, in a WWE ring and has been under contract despite not doing anything for a while, I guess, due to that neck break. And Paige will no longer be with WWE after July 7th. When her contract expires, she has made that announcement. She also had a movie put out by The Rock. And the best part about that movie was The Rock's promo. And Vince Vaughn did play a good, typical asshole WWE agent in that movie, because a lot of those agents, in my experience, are pricks. But I thought, like, if they had told the real story about Paige and not like the Disney version of Paige, the movie would have been so much better, because she does have a really interesting story. And I'm not hating on her at all. I'm not ashamed to say I watched her sex tapes. I don't care. Did I jerk off to them? No. But I watched them. So did Psycho Sid. He actually talks about them in his second shoot interview with me. So that was the big news today. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, who Dave Meltzer say are possibly the top baby faces in both AEW and WWE right now, are both out with injuries. And I might have to agree with them on that. It's a sad day when those are your top baby faces in wrestling. I'm not saying Cody Rhodes is not talented. He is very talented, but he's new to WWE. And he's already possibly the top babyface. That's how stale things were there. And CM Punk, to me, is washed up. and he's the top babyface in AEW. And proof of him being washed up is he got injured before even having one title defense. And most people that are not super smart marks just see him as the guy that embarrassed professional wrestling by making professional wrestlers look pathetic in his 2 UFC fights. But congratulations to him. He made a lot of money for those performances. So just embarrassed the whole industry. Apparently, Punk mentioned that there was a couple broken bones and it would need surgery, but they haven't said specific if it was a broken foot. Although apparently Max Caster said in one of his raps it was a broken foot. Neither Punk nor the company have actually said what exactly the injury is. Cody Rhodes had a complete tear of his pectoral muscle while lifting weights and is going to be out of action for months. It is funny, and Meltzer points out here, that even though he's going to be out for months, he still beat Seth Rollins in the Hell in the Cell match. And I listened to Kevin Sullivan's podcast this week, and he made it – I think Kevin was actually confused that Cody put Seth Rollins over before going out. He didn't. Yes, Seth Rollins beat him up and did an injury angle on Raw, but Cody Rhodes beat him at WrestleMania. And to my knowledge, you fans can correct me, but I believe the match on almost every single house show since WrestleMania that Cody and Seth have been in is them wrestling each other and Cody winning. And then even though Cody's going to be out of the company for a while, Cody wins again in Hell in the Cell. So, and then I have to disagree with Kevin Sullivan again, because in his podcast, he's like, this makes people build to want to see Cody and Seth again. No, because Cody's just going to beat Seth again. There's absolutely zero chance Seth Rollins is going to beat Cody Rhodes at this point. Unless Seth magically becomes super popular in the time that Cody Rhodes is out with his pec tear and the whole landscape changes by the time Cody Rhodes is back. I just don't see how anyone has any interest in that angle when Seth loses every time they wrestle. And it's the internet age. You can read the results of the house shows on the internet. So I don't know. And as far as Cody wrestling with the torn pec, good for him. He was in the main event at Hell in the Cell at a sold-out arena in Chicago, from my understanding, so his pay would have been good. I have a torn pec. I've had a torn pec since last October, and I never had surgery on it, just stem cell injections, and I wrestled a month after the torn pec. But again, with me, nobody cares what pain I'm ever in. I can get my head sliced open and nobody will give a damn. But when other people's get their heads sliced open in matches with me, it's the end of the world. But it's just the way it is. Some people get sympathy, other people's don't, because they're seen as tough, so they should just be tough and we shouldn't worry about them. And that might be true. Apparently, Double or Nothing is estimated at having between 150 and 155,000 buys, which would make it the third biggest pay-per-view in company history. I do believe Double or Nothing is AEW's WrestleMania. If it's not, you guys can correct me, but I'm pretty sure it is. Bruce Pritchard is having surgery to repair a torn rotator cuff. John Cena is returning on the June 27th Raw. It's expected he's going to wrestle Austin Theory at SummerSlam. So there you go. They're bringing in John Cena again to save the day. NXT had a major In Your House show June the 4th from the Performance Center in front of family and friends of talent that amounted to about 350 people with no ticket sales. And Meltzer brings up it's a different era. The takeover days where they would blow away the main roster are over. WWE has been publicly burying Stephanie McMahon, according to the Wrestling Observer. And to be honest, the whole write-up on that kind of bores me. So I won't get into any more detail than that. But apparently she left and they're burying her, according to him, where they made it seem, I guess, like in an article with Business Insider, that she left in a shakeup where Vince McMahon was shaking up the corporate side of the company. Apparently, Edge has been replaced by Finn Balor, a lot of people's favorite midget wrestler in the Judgment Day stable, because Edge did not like the idea that they wanted to give the group supernatural powers. And also with Cody Rhodes being out and Randy Orton being out, they need Edge as a babyface because Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley are their only top babyfaces right now. And Lord knows a lot of people don't like Riddle. He is like nails on a chalkboard to me. First of all, I'm not saying he's not tough, but him coming out on the scooter is it's just a channel changer thing, or I don't even want to watch it. And then the bros, it's I can't stand it. And he's skinny and small. So maybe, I don't know if he's over 6 feet, but he's just, I'm a heavyweight, so I like to watch either heavyweights or girls in both wrestling and MMA. It's just my taste. I'm sorry for the people that like smaller wrestlers. It's just not my taste. If you enjoy small wrestlers, good for you. But Matt Riddle, I would rather watch a lot of stuff than Matt Riddle, either do promos or wrestling. I mean, I don't like NASCAR, and I would rather watch NASCAR than that. I don't like bowling, and I would rather watch bowling than a Matt Riddle match. I don't like golf, but I'd rather watch golf than a Matt Riddle match. I don't like darts, but I'd rather watch darts than a Matt Riddle match, if you get my point. Dwayne Johnson has purchased a new home for his mother, Ada Johnson, and I actually interviewed her a few years ago. Dynamite did a 0.34 rating, down from the previous week. The taping was in Independence, Missouri, before 4,400 paid. NXT did a 0.14 rating. Raw did a 0.52 rating from Green Bay with 4,900 paid. Rampage did a 0.14 rating from Ontario, California with 7,400 paid. A great crowd for a Rampage. I wonder if that might even be one of the biggest crowds for Rampage on its own. California was really starving for AEW action by the looks of it. SmackDown did a 0.47 rating from Columbus, Ohio, drawing 5,700 paid. New Japan did a 0.01 rating, which is about as low as you can get. Impact did a 0.03 rating. Bray Wyatt has teased that he's coming back to wrestling soon. MJF will definitely be under contract until at least January 1st, 2024. After the May 18th show in Houston, there was a confrontation at a hotel between Chris Jericho and MVP at about 1 a.m., according to Dave Meltzer. This happened after the Dynamite tapings. Something had previously happened about 18 months ago where MVP and Jericho had a falling out. Jericho was talking to Matt Hardy and MVP showed up. Most people thought they were kidding around until it became clear that they weren't kidding. There was no fists thrown, but apparently it was a tense situation. And Jericho told MVP that he doesn't fight jobbers. MLW canceled their July 16th show. It's unknown what's going on with that company. It's not on one of their high points, that's for sure. Dana White is working on a John Jones versus Stipe Miocic match for the interim heavyweight title. It will either happen in Las Vegas or Madison Square Garden. I'll get into some of your comments here. There's a lot of them. Mike D, I should do a Mike McGurk interview. I agree. Hurricane Maverick, how are you doing? Haven't seen you for a while. Mike Piper is going to be back on Sunday. Chris checking in from Brantford, Ontario. Jason, I agree with you that Blood Hunter has done more damage to his opponents than Godzilla tore Japan up, and I'm sure you're going to see more of that carnage September 3rd when Great North Wrestling comes to Petawawa, Ontario. Tickets are available now at ticketweb.ca, by the way. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at The Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Hannibal